INFPs, you are my super ego type. That means we share each other's super ego. We share the same mind, but just in different areas. We're kind of like opposite types, yet weirdly so similar. I've gotten to know a handful of INFPs the last few years. A couple elderly INFPs, a few women, a few men. Dated 2 of them. The connection is really awesome. Really awesome. It's like we're able to connect on all levels, soul, heart, mind. I really like INFPs. I really do. I feel sad that I can't really hang on to an INFP for a long-term friendship. It makes me feel really sad. But there's a reason for that. At least what I believe the reason is. I think, it's a refinement relationship. This relationship, yes, the connection can be really, really deep and wonderful. But our ego functions are going to kind of not get along at some point. What I've seen happen is the egos don't feel respected, and then lack of acceptance, at least for me. So what happened in my last female friendship, that I was feeling like, wow, I really value this girl. I really like her so much. She's my favorite friend right now. I went out of my way to just try to be the best friend I could be to her. It was an online friendship. But what ended up happening was she gave me an NE parent warning, extroverted intuition warning, about a guy. And she basically was like, look, if you're not going to do what I said and get rid of this guy, don't bother responding, because I can't handle it. I get it. For her, it was she doesn't need the stress or all that. She needs to protect herself. So I don't hate her for that. I still like her a lot. I wish it didn't have to be that way, but that's just the way it is. A lot of INFPs have been through a lot of difficult experiences, and with SI child, that's a really sensitive spot, and you have the capacity to remember all of your experiences. And it hurts, I guess, so it's understandable that I would be discarded. Even though it doesn't feel like it's fair when it's happening, because, it's if you're telling me I have to do something that is not respecting my NI child needs to have choices and freedom. And if someone is putting me in a corner and saying, you have to do this or you can't do that, I feel controlled. I cannot be controlled. SP types cannot be controlled. We cannot. It's no. Plus, my FE inferior, I didn't feel accepted. I felt wow, you're abandoning me, you're discarding me, you're not accepting me for who I am. An example of accepting me for who I am would be my ENFP friend, who, it was the same week. I told them both the same story about a guy. The ENFP responded with, her opinions. I don't like that, blah, 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 blah. And she said, but I understand you're going to do what you're going to do. You have to do what you're going to do. And I'll still be here. If things don't turn out good or something, See, the ENFP is still my friend because she gives me that 100% acceptance. I need that. I need that with my relationships. Like, I give so much to my relationships. So if someone can't even give me acceptance and like the freedom to make my own decisions for my own life, it's like, I can't keep you around. I can't. And it sucks because INFPs, like, you're so valuable. So valuable. And I do love you. And it hurts to be misunderstood and discarded. That hurts. It hurts a lot. But I get it. Like, you don't want to have more pain and suffering than, okay, that's fair. It's just, we can grow each other. Like, that's one of the points of this type of relationship, is personal growth. Like what happened with the INFP that I dated it was long distance, so I think the whole thing lasted maybe 6 months by the time we started actually like dating. The first 3 months were great, got along, no arguments, and then I guess 3 months into it, and I had not been like using TI in a TI way a lot. I was going out of my way to use a lot of FE, extroverted feeling. And I remember he told me, no, I want you to be yourself. And I'm like, okay. My intuition said, no, you can't be yourself. You can't tell him the truth. Like the whole truth of how you think and feel. You can't. But I was like, okay, let's do it. So I used some TI. And well, he didn't like it. And then ever since then, we just had arguments. And then he just tried to control me. He tried to tell me how to speak, what words to use, what tone to use. Like, my goodness. Like, and I really tried to do the things he wanted me to do. And I kept failing because it just wasn't natural. He had me look at Byron Katie. He had me look at like non-violent communication, which, oh my God, that was a nightmare. I was just like, this is not natural. I'm trying really hard, but this is not natural. And I kept failing. And then he said I'm not spiritual enough. Like, he gave me like 50 reasons in the end why he doesn't love me anymore, why we're not compatible, whatever. And it was just like, wow. What I saw with him when he was like triggered, this was the very first like weekend where I just saw him like triggered in his shadow functions. And I had done a lot of studying on INFP type because, when I date someone, I want to learn them. So I was aware of what was happening, like, oh my gosh, okay, so in I critic, he's like critical of what he wants. He doesn't even know what he wants anymore. And then his sensing trickster function, extroverted sensing, he was accusing me of gaslighting him. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, we were having this conversation, a disagreement, and like 5 minutes ago I said something, and then he's like, you didn't say that, or whatever. I can't even remember all the details, but he accused me of gaslighting him, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Honestly, he was gaslighting himself. And I was like, well, I think we need to video our conversation and like play it back, because I didn't feel like, I don't know. And then And then his TI demon, it just like, one of the other, the things we also, INFPs and ISTPs were both at risk of being prideful and arrogant. I kept myself in check, like I did. I really did. I tried really hard to be humble and like use feminine communication. Like I was trying really hard, and I felt like I didn't get enough credit for how hard I was trying. Like, and then my FE inferior, it's like when I was emoting, I needed his attention and all that. It's like he was so turned off. And then he would like, it felt like he was withholding attention from me, withholding love from me because I was asking for it, which felt like abuse. It's abuse to my FE inferior. It sucked. Like it really sucked. It was very painful. And he before he was like, oh, I want to learn about, you know, your ISTP type. Like he didn't really know anything about Myers-Briggs Jungian. He types. He was a 4, 5, 9, I think he said. And he said, oh, I'm gonna listen to this How to Love ISTP video a few times so I can learn it. Well, he didn't. I think he listened to it once. He didn't follow through on what he said he would do. Another time he was like, you know, I was going to visit him like every month, and then I altered my flight to be there on Valentine's Day because he said he wanted me there on Valentine's Day because he wanted to take me out to a nice dinner. Well, I get there and he's like, no, I don't even like Valentine's Day. Like, I don't feel like going to dinner. And I'm just like, what? What? Like, if he would have just said that from the start, it would have been fine. But it's like, he put that expectation in my head. So I was expecting him to like take me out, treat me to a nice dinner. Like, so to have him just like backpedal on that, it was just like, what? Like, I felt like not valued. I felt unloved. Okay, so not going to talk more about that. It was a really bad experience, I think, for both of us. I ended up just feeling like, wow, he's really selfish. But it's like, you know, he had his judgments about me. I had my judgments about him. And, you know, it's just our egos were clashing. It doesn't make either one of us right or wrong. Although the truth is the truth. But, okay, so he was a shadow developed INFP. So he was really into studying and learning and all that. Then the next INFP I dated was subconscious developed. So it was like night and day. This guy was like more extroverted, more active, like riding his bike all the time. He had a really good relationship with his parents. And so that was a really different experience. But what I noticed about him was he didn't really do a lot of like book studying. So he didn't have wisdom in that way. So I just kind of felt like, okay, the relationship can't really go that deep, like in the feelings realm, I guess, a little bit. But there's just something about people who have been through a lot of pain and hardship that they develop wisdom, and they tend to have a lot of brilliance in that way because they do a lot of studying and thinking and all that. And I really value that in a person. So yeah, that other one didn't last that long because I just wasn't attracted. But yeah, just I'm kind of afraid to have another close relationship with an INFP. Like I would love to have INFP friends. But you know, it hurts to open yourself up and then just have someone discard you and not accept you. So I'm kind of like, I think maybe acquaintances, sure, but not close friends. I do meet a few INFPs in my line of work, elderly ones, and the connection is just a very close connection. It's really nice. Something I do notice about INFP, ISTP, a lot of the times, like if we're thinking about a topic, like we'll come to the same conclusion eventually. But the ISTP, like with TI Hero, you know, my logical processor works very fast. Whereas the INFPs, they need more time to think. Whereas it's the opposite with like feelings. INFP, it's like, okay, feeling, yeah, I got that down. Like you're very sophisticated with your feeling and the values and all that. Whereas the ISTP, it's reversed. It's like that was our demon function. So we had to learn like self-love and how to value ourselves and everything. So I feel like if both people can respect each other's egos, like I was trying to be like, okay, well, you're an FI user and an NE user. I respect those functions in you. I want you to respect my TI and my SE, but he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. Like he couldn't accept that my TI works faster than his. It's like his male pride was just like, wow, you're so prideful. I can't believe it. But no, I wasn't saying it in a prideful way. It was just a fucking fact. It's a fact. I have TI Hero. It works fast. It's a fact. So that was hard. It's like, I can't be the only one trying, and like, I can't just keep accommodating myself for someone who can't like meet me halfway at the very least. I mean, it's like I was going like 90% to his 10%, it felt like, and I shouldn't have done that. And I know now, I mean, now that I have self-love and self-respect and I value myself, like that would never happen, I think. I mean, it's possible a relationship with an INFP would be a lot better this time just because I would have my own FI. But still, the acceptance piece, like I cannot be controlled. So the INFP really has to learn how to be respectful to an ISTP. Just as an ISTP needs to learn how to be respectful to an INFP, and having that open communication and not judging. I mean, I really do think this relationship in the friendship realm or the romantic realm can be really successful if both parties can figure it out together, but you have to work together. And perhaps it would be easier for a male ISTP and a female INFP, just because the INFP is very feminine naturally and the ISTP is very masculine naturally. So that if it's flipped with the male and female, I think that just adds another layer of challenge to it, which is fine. The ISTP is up for that. Like if the ISTP wants someone, feels a connection, all that, like the ISTP will, like, nothing will stop them from being successful in the task, in the relationship, whatever. But the INFP has to meet them halfway, you know. So if the INFP isn't willing to do that, then it's just not going to work. Okay, well, if you have questions or you want me to say more about INFPs, I'm sure you probably don't give a fuck about what I think, but whatever. I have experiences and feelings too, and my experiences matter just like yours do. So have a wonderful day.